Alright, so we start this story in a village, and we see our main character Lythe telling his friend Sarah to wait and that this is too much for him. However, Sarah tells him that this is nothing, and that they are training to become holy knights in the future after all, telling Lythe that they need to work hard and then their efforts will pay off. We then see Lythe completely out of breath as he asks Sarah if there really is any meaning to this training. Sarah thinks for a bit before she says that, of course, because after all, if they train a lot, then they will get strong. Lythe falls down to the ground and wonders if that's really true. We then get into Lythe's thoughts as he says that Sarah is his childhood friend. He says that she is kind and good at looking after others, calling her like a sister to him, but moreover, she's his only friend and they have been training together to become holy knights. Sarah then stands up and says thank you for the food. Lythe is surprised that she is done already and that she is always able to finish so quickly. Lythe then asks Sarah if she knows how the citizens of the 4th Division live. The people there live in extreme poverty and they're doing everything that they can just to survive. But once you turn 18 in this world, then the gods will give you a class, such as Blademaster, Mage, Cleric, Farmer, or Merchant, just to name a few. Lythe says that they are not obligated to live according to the class given to them. However, those who become farmers or merchants cannot work as adventurers, explaining that combat-oriented classes such as warriors and mages are strong, so trying to surpass them through sheer effort is impossible. But just as he is about to finish his sentence, Sarah goes and tries to strike him down with her sword. Lythe asks her what she is doing, but Sarah says that she's sure that Lythe will be fine and that he will get a strong class. She then puts out her hand towards him before they go back to training. Lythe thought that with that being said, he still felt anxious. After that, we get to the present day and we see some people in a market. We then see a grown-up Lythe and Sarah. Lythe says that it feels like a festival here. Sarah looks to him and says that she bets that he couldn't sleep last night, and he says that she is right. While walking around, some store owners see Lythe and call him the Duke's son and say that today must be the class division day and wish him the best of luck. Sarah playfully says that someone is popular and Lythe tells her to shut up. They then walk into the division class place and Sarah is amazed that there are so many people here and that everyone is so serious. She notices that the happy ones got combat-oriented classes, while those who got ordinary classes look so disappointed. Suddenly, however, everyone starts to scream as Duke Ride Wellesley has arrived. Sarah tells Lythe that his dad is here, and everyone else says that it's the Holy Knight who rules this land. Sarah then spots someone behind Lythe's dad and asks Lythe who that is. Lythe says that it's his younger brother and that their mothers are different though. He says that his brother's mother is from the 4th Division, which is why his father, an aristocrat, doesn't acknowledge him, but that things could change if he gets a strong class. Suddenly, the priest calls up Kite Wellesley. Lythe and their father looks closely. The text then reveals that once you place your hand on the crystal, it'll reveal your class symbol. Suddenly, everyone looks shocked as Kite has gotten the Holy Knight symbol. It is revealed that the Holy Knight class is extremely rare and that only 1 out of 10,000 becomes one. While it's more likely to have the same class as your parents, the chances are still slim. However, Kite Wellesley was chosen as a Holy Knight. After that, their dad Ride goes up on the stage and says, "Well done," and calls Kite his son. Kite is mad and thinks that this is the first time he has called him his son and that he has never before expected anything from him. Kite knows that he's just trying to use him to maintain his authority, but he then thinks that it's whatever, as he also plans on exploiting his position in the Duke's family. Next up is Sarah. She walks up while she is super nervous and she tells herself to calm down. She closes her eyes, and it's revealed that she also is a Holy Knight, and everyone goes to congratulate her. She then goes to Lythe and says that it's his turn, and he looks nervous as he says, "Yeah." The priest then calls out Lythe's name, and Sarah tells him good luck. He walks past his father, who tells him to not disappoint him. Lythe says that he knows. He then thinks that Holy Knight is a rare class, and that 2 of them appearing on the same day and in the same temple is unheard of, but even then, he is determined to become a Holy Knight just like them. He puts his hand on the crystal and thinks that he won't lose to anyone, and that he will seize his power with his own hands, thinking that with all of his might, he will become stronger. However, as the priest goes to check on the results, he sees that there is nothing. Lythe asks him why the crystal isn't reacting and what it means, saying that it must be some kind of mistake and that this can't be happening. Sarah looks shocked while his father looks mad. The priest then says that Lythe's class is jobless. Lythe looks defeated as it's explained that upon turning 18, a class is bestowed by the gods as per the world's norm. However, Lythe received no such thing. We then get over to the Wellesley residence, where a maid knocks on Lyth's door. She walks in and lets him know that his father is calling for him. Lyth walks into his father's room, and his father tells him that their relationship as parent and child ends here. He tells him that starting today, he's no longer a member of the Wellesley household, nor does he see Lyth as his son, saying that the Wellesleys consider Kite as the eldest son now. He then tells Lyth that he has 1 hour and that he isn't welcome here anymore. Lyth looks absolutely crushed as he is hearing that. We then go over to Sarah, who is in some kind of pub. Someone tells her that she is one of them now, and that the drinks are on him tonight. Her father then tells everyone to drink up. However, Sarah is a bit embarrassed and tells him to stop. Someone else says that 2 holy nights at once is wild and that this town is incredible. Someone else says that they feel bad for Duke, explaining that people anticipated what class the Holy Knight's son would get only for him to get the jobless class. But still, his younger brother managed to become a Holy Knight. After that, we get to Lyth, who is outside his house with a bag that he has packed. He looks out towards the sky and says that he needs to get a job first, but still, what can a classless person like him do? We then get back to the pub, where someone says that they saw Lyth leave town earlier. This makes Sarah get up right away, and she starts running away at full speed, which confuses everyone. She then runs around the whole town, but is unable to find Lyth. We then get back to Lyth, and it's explained that since Lyth doesn't have a class, and he also doesn't have any skills, but in order to get by, he needs money, and without skills, the only thing he can do right now is work as a cargo guy. Suddenly someone calls him Sir Lyth and throws something at him. It's someone who he is carrying cargo for. He throws him some food and says that it's the commerce food, but that he's free to have some if he would like. The others just laugh, and someone else says that he's sure that this wouldn't suit his palate. However, he still picks up the apple and bites into it. He thinks that it's pathetic that he has to be carrying cargo and not a sword. The horses abruptly stop, and Lyth asks what's going on. Someone informs him that the forest is dangerous and that they should proceed cautiously. But as he does so, he is shot in the head with an arrow, and immediately after that, a group of bandits rush out of it. Another swordsman is preparing for battle, but he is slashed down without any problems. The bandits claim to have killed all the escorts, but they ask what they should do with the others. The boss simply gives the signal to kill everyone. But then someone screams, and it's Lyth who has picked up a knife and is going towards the boss. Although Lyth believes that he has been practicing swordplay for years, and that his lack of combat skills does not make him entirely useless, he is ultimately dealt with quickly, as the boss just knocks him to the ground with little to no effort. Lyth believes that he may not have a chance against a skilled opponent, but if he doesn't fight, then who will? The boss asks him who the heck he is and what a cargo kid like him thinks he is doing. The bandit boss labels Lyth a nuisance as he stands up once more. We then swiftly move on to the people in the cart, and the young girl asks her father what a class is. He tells her that it is the power that the gods give you when you turn 18, and that you can even say that your class determines your life. Blade masters are skilled fighters who can defend others, and since he is a merchant, his work entails trading, but there are also farmers who grow crops, for instance. The little girl then asks her father if Lyth is a blade master. We then see that Lyth is gasping for air, and the boss bandit uses his warrior skill and physique boost to begin chipping away at his sword. When Lyth loses concentration, the boss bandit takes his arm and spins him around, causing him to fall to the ground. Before Lyth can even get up, the boss bandit has already kicked him in the face. The boss bandit looks at him disappointed and says that this is why he thought that Lyth was weak, since he isn't even a blade master. Lyth, on the other hand, says that the boss bandit is strong. The boss bandit then holds his blade towards Lyth, and Lyth wonders if this is where his life ends. The boss bandit announces that playtime is over, and the people in the cart says that they will kill Lyth. But just then, something snaps for Lyth as he takes his knife from his back pocket and tries to get in a sneak attack on the boss bandit. However, even then, it gets easily deflected, as he says that he can dodge an attack like that, even with his eyes closed. Lyth then, out of nowhere, says that it looks like the boss bandit's abilities aren't all that impressive. The boss bandit then starts to smile annoyed as he goes ham on Lyth. As Lyth is receiving punch after punch, he says that this is frustrating, and he wonders just why he's so weak. But suddenly, he is able to hear a voice. He is confused to what the voice he is hearing is. The voice then tells him that he has obtained the skill physique boost. He thinks that it's a woman's voice before the voice continues, and says that he has also obtained the skill blade boost, which we can clearly see now, as he is able to block the boss bandit's sword, and the boss bandit is in complete shock by this. The boss bandit then tries to strike Lyth down, however Lyth spins around the attack and jumps up and cuts the boss bandit in his neck. He then throws his blade onto another bandit and manages to land it right in his face. However, it's far from over, as someone appears behind him and tries to attack with an axe. However, Lyth just turns the axe around and then uses it himself to slay down the bandit. Lyth then starts to laugh manically as he looks pretty fired up. Suddenly, Lyth goes back to normal, and the girl from the cart starts to run towards him at full speed. She jumps to him and hugs him. She is starting to cry as she explains that she was so scared. Her dad then comes behind Lyth and says that they own him their life, and if he hadn't intervened, then they would have been dead by now. The dad then asks if his class was an offensive one all along. However, Lyth says that it wasn't, and then he himself starts to wonder how he managed to defeat those bandits. However, he admits that if there's one thing that he remembers, then it was when Lyth hit the boss bandit, and he felt like he got a skill. And then he also heard the voice of a goddess telling him about it. He pats the girl's head, while thinking that he doesn't know what just happened, but that he's glad that he managed to save them. The dad then asks if he can have a word, and Lyth says, of course. The dad says that he'd like to repay Lyth for saving them, and asks if there is anything that he needs help with, be it economic assistance or someone's good offices, explaining that he wants to thank their savior, and that if it's something he can grant, then Lyth shouldn't hesitate to tell him. Lyth is quiet for some time before says that if the dad insists, then there is something that he would like to know and that he would appreciate his help with it. We then get to the next day, where we get to the priest. We see his apprentice coming by and telling him that a man has come requesting a class reassessment. Sir Augustinus tells him to pay him no mind, but the other guy tells him that he bears a letter from one of his friends, which shocks Sir Augustinus. He gets the letter and right away understands what happened. We then see Lyth sitting with Augustinus, and he tells Lyth that he and the girl's dad have been friends for decades, explaining that they haven't seen each other for some years, but it seems like he's doing fine. Lyth is just in awe that the dad knew Augustinus, the kingdom's archbishop. Augustinus then says that he is sure lucky to have survived such a situation. Augustinus then gets right into it, and says that it seems like Lyth has been assigned the jobless class, and asks him if he wants to be reassessed. Augustinus says that normally they don't do that, but since it's a request from a friend, they shall make an exception, but he warns Lyth not to get his hopes too high up. After all, it has never happened before that the crystal would give an incorrect verdict. Augustinus looks in the crystal and says that it's like he thought, and that his class remains blank. But suddenly his face changes, and he says that there are both a physique boost as well as a blade boost. He is amazed, saying that Lyth isn't even a blade master, and wonders how on earth this could happen. He explains that skills aren't something you can give to just anyone either. He goes even deeper, as he says that physique boost and blade boost are combat-oriented skills, which neither farmers nor merchants can learn. However, Lyth still possesses these skills. He tells Lyth that it's already surprising that he don't have a class at 18 years old, and yet he have a blade master's skill despite not being one. Lyth asks what his power means, but Augustinus says that he doesn't know. However, as he is drinking his tea, he thinks of something and tells Lyth to come with him. They then go to the archive chambers. Lyth is amazed by the insane number of books, but Augustinus laughs and says that this is nothing compared to the kingdom's library. He then tells Lyth that he just remembered something and that there was someone in the past who also had no class, saying that according to this book's records, that person had a hidden skill, telling Lyth that their skill was the ability to mimic their opponent's skill, and if his ability is the same, then it should explain his lack of skills. Lyth then tells him that the truth is that he only got the skills after hitting the bandit. Augustinus says that he sees, and says that it's why he possessed combat skills. However, still the finer details remain unclear, and Augustinus tells him that he can't confirm it, and that Lyth has to discover everything on his own. Lyth then leaves, however he thinks that it was good enough finding out that someone in the past had the same circumstances as him. Lyth thinks that he wants to know more about this power, but that he doesn't have a concrete way of doing it. He then smiles and says that in that case he will become a knight, and then figure everything out. We then see Lyth being in a building where someone tells him that he's successfully enrolled for the exam. She tells Lyth that the night exam will be held the day after tomorrow, and to make sure that he has his application form with him. Lyth smiles as he says thank you. He then goes outside and sees a super tasty looking meat stick and can't stand not trying it. He then explains that this is the imperial capital and that there's hustle and bustle everywhere. However, with that being said, he sees lots of strong-looking people around, thinking that he should practice until the day of the exam. However, his mind then quickly goes blank as he sees Sarah right in front of him being totally out of breath. Sarah looks kind of insane as she says that she has finally managed to find him. Lyth doesn't even know what to say, and he just looks completely stunned. Anyway, Sarah goes closer with a super menacing expression, and she looks pissed, but in the last second she jumps into his arms and hugs him. Lyth falls down and Sarah begins to cry and says that she was so insanely worried for Lyth, saying that at one point she even thought that he had committed suicide. Lyth tells her that he is incredibly sorry, but asks if they shouldn't get up before anything else, and Sarah starts to blush. Anyway, they go to the forest, and Lyth formally apologizes, telling her that she must have been surprised seeing him leave his home without contacting her, but explains that he had to work as a cargo boy to earn some money, but while he was on the job, they got ambushed by bandits. Sarah then asks if that means that he got his skills from that bandit, and Lyth says that he did. Sarah looks happy, and says that who would have thought that he would have such a power, and says that it's great, saying that since he has skills, he is going to take the night exam, right? Lyth looks super fired up as he says that he will, and Sarah smiles even more. They then get to a rock, and Sarah asks Lyth to show her his skills, and asks him to try and slash through this boulder. Lyth pulls out his sword and thinks that he isn't sure if he can do it, but here goes nothing. He then uses his physique boost, and combined with his blade boost, he goes for the rock and manages to slice a piece of it. Sarah says that his physique boost and his blade boost are both very powerful, and with those he should be able to easily pass the night exam, before telling Lyth that he still haven't seen what a holy knight skill is, and she says that she will show him. We then see that it creates a huge explosion in the distance, and Lyth can't believe his eyes as he realizes that this is a holy knight skill. Sarah then looks over to Lyth and says that he got his skills when he hit the bandit, and he says that he did. Sarah then asks Lyth to take out his hand. Lyth is a bit surprised, but they then fist pump, and Lyth acquires the celestial boost and the celestial blade. Lyth is completely blown away. Sarah asks him if he did get any skills, and Lyth says that he did, but asks if Sarah is sure about this, but she says that she is, and that it's not like their power has decreased for her. She starts to leave while saying that she hopes that they will help him out in the exam, and Lyth thanks her. We then see that the whole rock had smashed when Sarah went to attack it, and with a smirk, she says that he will for sure find them useful, before telling him that she will be waiting for him at the nightly order. We then get to the imperial capital, where we see someone saying that, as usual, they have a lot of applicants. However, from what he can see, none of them look promising, and he wonders if they have what it takes to become knights. Suddenly, someone refers to him as Officer Roger and tells him not to say that. We then get explained that the knighthood is one of the highest ranking positions in the kingdom and is a profession that only a few among those who have combat-oriented classes can have. We then get back to real time, where Roger comes forward and says that he is the examiner of this night exam. He tells them that they must have had their reasons for wanting to become a knight. Political, power, glory, money, or anything. However, they don't care about any of that, as only the truly capable ones can succeed. He tells them that once they pass the exam, they will obtain the title of ninth, a status equivalent of that of a baron. However, that is nothing more than a humble beginning, as they have to make their way up through their contributions, and they can even become an upper-class aristocrat. Telling them that their capabilities are everything here, everyone then puts up their fist. We then see the secretary calling up everyone, however. As she gets to Lyth, she sees that there is no class indication. She says that they must have forgotten it. However, he excuses himself and says that the form is accurate. She asks him what he means, and he says that he has received his oracle, but wasn't given any class. She then asks him how he will fight then, and that in order to become a knight, he must have offensive skills like those blade master and mages, not to mention that you also have to be stronger than them. And yet he is saying that he wants to take the test without having a class, asking him if he came here just to injure himself. However, with a bright smile, he tells them that he can fight and that he should be fine. Roger just laughs and calls it interesting, telling her that Lyth has piqued his interest and to let him participate, and she agrees unwillingly. Suddenly, someone comes forward and asks if everyone heard that, saying that the standards of the night exam must have plummeted, and that they are now even letting simpletons take the exam. Roger asks who he is, and the secretary says that it's Logan Bentley and that he is an aristocrat. Logan then tells Lyth that there is no way that a jobless weakling like him can become a knight, and that if he doesn't stay in his lane, then he will be in for a good smack. Anyway, Lyth just completely ignores him and asks the secretary if he can still participate, and she says that he still can. Logan tells him not to ignore him, but Lyth looks back with a dead expression and tells him that he doesn't have any space left in his brain for irrelevant stuff. Logan gets mad as he calls him a jobless dreg and pulls out his sword to attack, but just then, Roger comes in their way and asks them who has told them that the exam has already started. Lyth apologizes, and everyone looks stunned towards them, before Roger tells them to go back to their place. Logan then calls out to Lyth and tells him that he looks forward to their fight. Roger just laughs while saying that Lyth has made a new friend. Roger then thinks that it might just be interesting after all. saying that Logan looks fairly capable, but the lad's too vain. Whether he has room for growth or not is hard to tell. Then there is Lythe, who took him by surprise. He is amazed that Lythe has no class, as he managed to deal some damage even with Roger having his physique boost active. He thinks that he takes back what he said earlier and that this year's applicants are promising. After that, Roger gathers up everyone and says that he will now explain the rules of the night recruitment exam, telling them that the test is a real-life combat scenario, so they will fight in a mock battle, and the examiner will grade them based on their performance. But he tells them to remember that this isn't a fight to the death. He explains that they will be wearing these rings of divine protection that he's been made in order to prevent that, and they can form a barrier and block a certain amount of damage. He then tells them that the first who lands a hit and succeeds in breaking the opponent's barrier wins, and tells them to begin. He then calls out Lythe to be the first one, and as he sees his opponent, he laughs as it's none other than Logan. His friends cheer him on and tells him to go and beat that jobless bum to a pulp. They then get close, and Roger asks them if they have equipped their rings of divine protection, and tells them to fight fair and square. Logan then laughs and tells him that it sucks to be Lythe, and that it happened that he took the same exam as Logan. Roger then screams at them to let the exam begin, and Logan starts right away as he pulls out a fire lance, which also makes him into a mage. Lythe then thinks that he now remembers that the Bentleys are a known lineage of mages. Logan then fires the fire towards Lythe, and it goes at a rapid speed, and it explodes around Lythe. Even Roger is amazed by the speed. However, suddenly Logan's eyes widen as he asks how it is possible that his fire lance got cut. They then see Lythe being totally unscratched. Lythe had used Sarah's celestial boost skill to cut it away. He thinks that it's amazing, and that his strength, magic power, and reflexes have increased, saying that he can't believe that he can defend against such fast magic so easily, and he then just continues to cut through them more and more. Even Roger and the people watching can't believe it. Logan then starts to laugh and says that Lythe is pretty good. Logan says that he has no idea why a jobless dreg like him can use skills. However, in the end, he will never be able to beat Logan, as after all he has already mastered top-tier skills, and says that he is a genius. However, Lythe just looks at him, without saying anything, which makes Logan mad, as he says that he just had a great idea, saying that he might have blocked his earlier attack, but asks if he can block this, as he summons a ton of fire lances. Logan sends them all at Lythe, and it crashes down. Roger thinks that not even the Ring of Divine Protect would be able to protect him from that, and he screams that the match is over, but he suddenly stops himself as he sees a sword attack coming towards Logan. It's Lythe who had activated his celestial blade, and Logan says that it's impossible and that it's a Holy Knight skill, so how can he use it? Logan starts to get frustrated as he wonders why his magic isn't working and what the hell is happening, wondering why Lythe has such a spell. He then gets back up and screams at Lythe not to get cocky, telling him that this isn't the last of Logan's abilities, as he uses the Dragon's Breath attack and sends it right to Lythe. Roger even had to use his own magic to protect the others, and he realizes that Logan isn't holding back at all and wonders if he's trying to kill Lythe. The attack starts to spin around Lythe, and Logan just laughs, telling him to witness his powers and telling everyone that he has won this match. But then suddenly, Lythe tells him that he isn't close to winning this match as he cuts the attack and escapes. Logan says that it's impossible as he starts to summon more fire lances. He sends them all at Lythe, who just casually destroys them one after the other before he then gets close to Logan and punches him right in his stomach, which breaks the Ring of Divine Protection and sends him flying away. However, Lythe follows after and gives him another punch just because, and this makes Logan fly back and destroy a big part of the training building. We then see Logan on the floor with Lythe standing above him, and Roger gets close before he says that the victory goes to Lythe.